This is exactly what we need. Is we have some huge information as it pertains to LeBron James and his injury, as Shams come out with a huge report outlining not only a big update surrounding his injury, but a timeline as well. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, as well as a couple other updates surrounding LeBron from his agent Rich Paul, as well as some injury updates ahead of tomorrow's huge game against the Bucks. But before we get into all that, folks, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, there's about 90% of you who are watching right now who aren't subscribed. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. And thank you guys again for your continued support. But ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot to go over today. Now, obviously, had a video earlier. The big topic of conversation surrounding the Lakers has been how the NBA screwed them. The referees have been terrible, and we could honestly probably have another video about how bad the referees are in the NBA, and specifically regarding the Lakers and Luka getting screwed. But we have some updates surrounding LeBron James that just dropped from Shams, and this is very, very big. And also stay tuned to the Yanks. We also have updates surrounding a couple of key guys returning ahead of tomorrow night's game. But as we all know, a ton of injuries, right? Luka, Reaves being day-to-day, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, all these different things. But the big storyline is LeBron James, and it just dropped that LeBron James is progressing well with his groin strain per Shams. And I'm going to get you the actual tweet right here from Shams as well. But we also have some updates from Rich Paul giving some timelines as it pertains to LeBron. But you see this here from Shams just 30 minutes ago. Lakers LeBron James has returned to LA per medical recommendation as he continues to progress well from a groin strain, with the team finishing the road trip Thursday in Milwaukee and Friday in Denver. League sources tell ESPN. Now, there's a bunch of different things here, but the biggest piece of news, which is huge, is that he is progressing well. There has been no setbacks, no tweet from Shams saying that he is going to, maybe be week to week again and continue to kind of, we've seen tweets like this from various injuries where they start off fairly, okay. And LeBron James, since he said he was going to be day-to-day, then it gets upgraded to week. And then we've seen, other players go down where Shams comes out and essentially tweets, hey, this might be no timetable for his return. Now, there's still no timetable per this tweet. We'll get into Rich Paul in a minute, but progressing well is absolutely huge for this team. They desperately need LeBron James back, but at the same time, you want to be as cautious as humanly possible, especially with that 2 seed. We're going to dive into a little bit here, not out of reach necessarily, but with all the injuries that are going down, your focus is on the playoffs. And there was some, discussion about, next week, him and Rui could return, and they're returning at the same time. That's still a possibility here. But again, he is progressing well, and he's back in LA now. And we know the Lakers are on a road trip in Milwaukee and Denver, an absolutely brutal stretch of games. It is an absolute gauntlet. But at the end of the day, progressing well is about as good as you could have expected, especially because, let's not forget, 3 days ago, they said he's expected to miss at least 1 to 2 weeks with a groin strain. LeBron James will wait for the groin injury to calm down in the next 24 hours and receive another evaluation. So we finally heard that evaluation today, and he's progressing well back in LA. And you'd assume he's going to be back some point next week. That's kind of the way that I'm reading into this. Let me know down below when you think he's going to return. But again, we've seen injuries where, Shams would have came out today and tweeted there's no timetable for his return. He isn't progressing great, or there hasn't really been a lot of progress. Then that's when you start to get concerned, because that's when it goes from, day to day to week to month to just no timetable. But progressing well from his strain, clearly from Shams, is a very good sign. And hopefully he won't miss more than another week and a half. But regardless, as long as he is healthy, as long as he can remain a part of the team on the postseason, because the postseason is what matters the most here, and they've cushioned themselves a little bit as it pertains to actually staying in the playoff race and not the play-in hunt, which is very interesting. But a couple other reports that dropped yesterday, and Rich Paul was out on a podcast, Pat McAfee show, and he said Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, just reported that LeBron will decide when he can return to the court as he manages the injury. He said that LeBron knows his body better than anyone, and his interview after the Boston game is more reliable than any media reports. Very good news. So this is yet another positive report, because this came out yesterday, and then of course Shams comes out with the tweet today saying that it's progressing well. And LeBron, after the game, when he got injured, said, day-to-day thing. Now, again, it's not a day-to-day in the sense of he's going to be back in a couple days, because, like Shams tweeted, week to week, they want to be very cautious with this player, specifically LeBron James. When you look at all the injuries that are happening, we'll dive into the injury report a little bit for tomorrow's game. We'll probably have another video on it. You see here, right? Austin Reaves day-to-day, Rui Hachimura is going to be out. LeBron James also going to be out for this road trip against the Bucks and the Nuggets, which is pretty big news as well, because he's not, traveling with the team. But at the same time, we're hoping Luka's going to be back. Reaves now added to the injury report. There's a lot of different things here. The team needs to continue to push. And Rich Paul said he won't put a timetable on when LeBron James will return via the Lakers. However, again, you can kind of start to think about it a little bit in your own right. And he basically came out, and Rich Paul in a lot of the podcasts or the Pat McAfee show basically said, trust what LeBron James says more than, of course, what some of the other guys are saying, and that everything should be fine. And the exact quote was from Rich Paul. He said, quote, he knows his body better than everyone. When you have this type of injury, you have to manage it properly. The Lakers have a tough schedule coming up. I won't put a timetable on it. I'll let LeBron James decide what's to be done there. And that's what he said. That was the exact quote. So end quote on the that was Rich Paul on the Pat McAfee show, right? So again, they have a tough schedule coming up. We know now, according to Shams, he's missing the road trip, but he knows his body more than anybody. But when you have this type of injury, you have to manage it properly. We know Luka Doncic came out and also said, hey, this is like one of the toughest injuries to manage. He didn't want to say the toughest, but it is absolutely one of the toughest injuries to manage because there's a chance for progressing pain, meaning like it can get worse and worse and worse if you don't come back, if you don't give it adequate rest, right? Luka Doncic injury is more so a back injury that, like Richard Jefferson said in the broadcast, you can kind of play through a little bit, and that's what it seems like they're going to do here. But at the end of the day, some good positive news. Progressing well from Shams is about as good as you could get. You pair that with the Rich Paul update. You pair that with the fact that, again, he knows his body more than anybody else. And we're talking about LeBron James here, one of the best athletes of all time, arguably the best athlete of all time, depending on where you put him. He knows he's 40 years old. He is putting up a season given his age, and he's going to know when to come back, right? There's no doubt about that. He's going to know when to come back. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to trust that LeBron James will come back when he's ready. Now, they have a very tough schedule coming up. You talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, you talk about the Nuggets, all these different things specifically on this road trip that's upcoming. And at the same time, LeBron's going to be good. But as you start to look at that, we're seeing some tweets. The 2 seed is cooked, but we'll finish the season as 3 seed check ball. It is interesting because you start to look at the standings a little bit here. At the moment, the Lakers are in the 3 seed, but they have 2 games in hand on the Denver Nuggets, and they play them, so they could either gain or lose ground. But with the injury report, we'll dive into in a minute here, it starts to get a little bit interesting. Now, I think, realistically, they should be safe from a play-in spot, but at the same time, the Timberwolves are starting to win some games. You look at the winning streaks there on the right, Timberwolves 5 in a row. Warriors 5 in a row, Rockets 3 in a row, Memphis 3 in a row. The Lakers are really the only team that's lost a couple games in a row with the Oklahoma City Thunder losing 1. It was a bad time for these injuries to happen as it pertains to the actual standings and the scoreboard, simply because you're at a point now where it's like not only you're not going to keep the 2 seed probably with these injuries, but you need to try to maintain the 6 seed and above. Don't get in the play-in game. You have to be able to get in there without the play-in game. And I think they can do that. They have Luka Doncic. They have the talent to do that. But as it pertains to the injury report, Dorian Finney-Smith is back, but no LeBron, Hayes, or Rui against Milwaukee Bucks, according to Trevor Lane here. So we'll have more videos covering the actual injury report. But as you start to look at the conference, yes, LeBron James progressing well. That's fantastic. Rui's still out. You have Austin Reaves, all these different things, right? It is going to be very interesting to see what happens with this team in particular because, man, oh man, is it going to be an interesting one for, of course, the Lakers. And again, Dorian Finney-Smith is back, which is good. And also, I believe this depth chart was from before. So Jordan Goodwin, obviously, it says he's out, but he is playing. We know Rui's out. LeBron is going to be out as well. And I think Reaves is good to go, even though it says day-to-day there. So just keep that in mind as well. These charts be updated at random times. But at the end of the day, they're in good shape. The Lakers will be good to go. Luka, we know, is going to be probable or questionable for the game. Austin Reaves should be good to go. Rui Hachimura out. LeBron James going to be out as well. But Dorian Finney-Smith is back. And again, Jordan Goodwin is going to be good as well. But that'll wrap it up. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Thank you guys for watching. Cheers.